is going live. We are live now. Hangouts on Air is live. I will make the post on photos worth seeing.
Ta-da!
I hope it's out. I hope it's out. It is out. Yes, it is. So we are streaming.
Come on, really?
Yes, we are. So.
Okay. Reblog. Luxlit. Live now.
Live now. We are live now. And I will. We have already 2 viewers, 3 viewers.
Live now.
3. Hello.
Oh!
Viewers. We're on the chat, by the way. And let's start the intro. I hope this works. It works.
Oh, Heiko said he won't talk. So hallelujah.
Heiko said he won't talk.
You didn't read that on I may not talk. I'm like, all right then. Something to look forward to.
Hello, hello, hello. And welcome all you out there. And hello to the chat. Oh, there's a lot of things already going on the chat. Hello and welcome to InConversation 22 on December 15th of 2018. And I forgot to write into, because I copied and pasted the text on the post, right, from the last conversation, and just added and just adapted the text a bit. And I forgot, of course, if you still want to join the conversation live with us on YouTube, then send us a message either to, well, you send it to me because only I can send you an invite. You'd need a browser other than Firefox, ideally Chrome. It works with Chrome, Google Chrome, if you have Google Chrome. It's a mess with the app. If you only have the app, then it will be hard. Then I probably say join us next time. So, okay. With that having said, hello, like usual, with me on the show tonight, tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, tonight, this morning, this noon, whenever you're watching this, whatever time it is, where you are watching this. Here it's night at Fernando's place. It's almost noon. Fernando,
it's 11. It's not almost noon.
It's noon?
11.
It's 11. Well, it's almost noon, right?
Yeah.
Right, so, right. Fernando.
Sure, Mom.
QBN scholar, admin of luxlit.net and of course luxlit.tumblr.com. And well, yours truly, my name is Pete. I like pictures. You can find mine on my blog tvoom.tumblr.com. That is tvom.tumblr.com, and also on tvoom365.com, tumblr.com. And usually I don't mention this blog because I forget, but this time it's kind of important. I think we're going to talk about that in the show. This time we will talk about photos on the internet, the Tumblr photo community and other communities on the web, and well, the recent Tumblr changes. We will have to talk about them, I guess. We have to talk about them, don't you think, Fern?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or whatever, it's a guest's choice as long as you keep it clean. I won't.
I will keep it clean, definitely. I'm pretty sure that this will an episode of innuendos, because I have a couple of things prepared. So, and this is, of course, this is not an innuendo that I eat dried up bananas.
Because I love dried bananas.
Fresh bananas anymore. So we have to eat dry ones. This is not an innuendo. Not at all.
No, seriously, have you had Barnana? Do you have Barnana? So hold on. There's a product There's a line of products, of banana products from Brazil called Barnana. And I discovered them like 2 years ago. They're really new. So here it is. Okay. See, it's, oops, sorry. B-A-R, Barnana.
Barnana.
Right? And they make, they started with these banana brittle, and they're what they call as upcycled bananas, which means that they use the bananas that are not very pretty, and that so they're not going to be sent to market. And those would usually be thrown away. But what they do is they make, and they're really good. They have one with peanut butter, which I don't like peanut butter, but this is dark chocolate, and it's got coconut. It's vegan. It's gluten-free. I take this to work every once in a while, and my colleagues love it, and they're not vegan. And now they have these chips. Now they have plantain chips, and again, they're not fried. They're baked. They're very healthy. And they have 4 different flavors, and one of them Brazilian barbecue. Oh my God.
Brazilian is something we're also not allowed to share on Tumblr anymore.
What?
Nothing. It was another innuendo.
Oh dear God. Brazil. No, not that. Oh God. No, Brazilian barbecue, not Brazilian wax. Anyway, honestly, if you can find these, or if you can order them online or something, awesome. And they're go to the BARNANA. And yes, they do the anyway. No more talk about bananas.
This show is not sponsored by any banana selling company. This show, this podcast, whatever it is not sponsored by anyone. If you want to sponsor us, then I don't know why anyone would want to sponsor us. But well, then get in contact, and maybe
there will be no magic tricks with bananas or plantains either.
Well, we can make bananas disappear, right? Like
no, I let's move on.
What?
All right, let's move on. So let's see what's on the chat.
Hello. Well, we have to welcome the chat. Alok Sharma is on the chat. Hello. We talked like half an hour ago, like on my channel, right? Comments. Thank you, Alok. Heiko, hello, Heiko. Hello, James. Hello, Steffi. Hello, Carol. Hello, Milman. Milman Harrison is on the chat as well. So,
whose lovely daughter Alana just turned 18, and he posted some beautiful pictures of her. And I still can't imagine her being an adult. I mean, I still see both of his kids as little kids when I first met him. And she's such a smart kid. Got into college. They're both smart kids, but they take after their parents. I'm very happy for Millman and his wife Suzette. Anyway, hi y'all.
And Millman writes, "Hi y'all, watching while doing laundry. Scary, isn't it? How? Yeah, I'm scared. Well, I don't know. I don't have kids, right? So I can't.
Yeah.
But I have nephews and nieces, and yes, indeed, it's scary. My oldest nephew is like 22, 23, and double my height.
Yeah. Which
is not so hard because I'm smaller than I look like.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the ones I'm closest to, one of my nieces, she's 33 with 2 kids, and her brother, who's 26, 27, just proposed to his girlfriend in New York. Just proposed. I mean, I knew he had. Oh, no more headset for me. The power died. What happened? Did I plug
in? You can have mine. What? You can have mine.
And you know what's it? No, I'll use the Bluetooth. Anyway.
You can have mine. Oh, I forgot. We're not in the same room.
Funny.
Like
it's because I was thinking about referring to that. It's
like in October.
Yeah. October. I was actually thinking of making a joke about that. But anyway.
Okay. There's a lot. We let's start the actual conversation. We talked a lot, quite a lot in the last conversation here and there. The topic showed up about where is the the community, the photography community on Tumblr, does it exist? And I think we talked about that that specific topic quite thoroughly. And I remember one. I don't know if that's something that you said while during one show, or if it was something that we talked in private. But I think that's for me, that was it kind of sums the whole thing up. And I think you put that very, very beautifully when you said that there is a community. Maybe it's just not your community, right? Because we can, whenever people, I mean, what is a community? And I'm open for discussion, and I hope the chat will engage in the discussion. I mean, what is a community? I don't think that anyone can create a community or construct a community. A community is always something that grows by itself, and it's the people that take part in the community. And as long as they are people and who take part, the community is there. And as soon as people stop taking part, the community will be gone. So there's not that person, or there's no such thing as like the bouncer, right, who says, well, you can be part of the community and you're not. That's not how it works. And everyone who claims that, and I saw claims like that, like in the last 5 years, when since I've been in the photo community on Tumblr, and trying to do my bit for that. And I wrote a post about that when the whole Tumblr community guideline change was announced. I wrote quite a longish text, and I never thought that anyone would actually read that half a novel that I posted, but apparently some people did. And I will put the link in the description later. But that's a thing that I read quite frequently in the last year, that people claiming that they are not tolerated in the community, or that they are not welcome in the community, or they got kicked out of the community, which I personally find very, very disturbing to read, in terms of that I don't think this is possible, and that a whole community, I never saw that. I mean, people who were part of the community and left the community always left the community. Either they left in that specific context, left Tumblr, or just stopped interacting with other people, or just that's but probably that's something that's rather on a personal level, that some people just started to fight each other and stop talking with each other. But it's always kind of, and then complained, right? And that's what I don't understand, how this thought comes up, that there's some, but maybe it's easier to say that there's this huge, big, dark conspiracy that's going on behind the scenes, and people pulling the strings, and saying this person is allowed to be part of the community and this person isn't. I personally think that's just taking or pushing the responsibility for your own behavior onto other people. But maybe that's just my personal opinion. Like, what do you think?
No, it's interesting, because I thought of well, it's like we said, there are, and actually you've said that too, about there's different communities. And I know, for example, I finally got it, and it was because of you, because I for a long time, when I first, like 4 or 5 years ago, oh, Tumblr, and it's a great place for photographers. But then there's all these communities everywhere. G Plus, Google Plus had it, and on, and everybody finds their niche. And I thinking of two things. One specific person who wreaked havoc, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I think you know who it is, for a while, and who I remember saying basically that we think we know everything, and we give our opinions on the critiques and blah blah blah, and we're telling people what to do, and the whole thing, and that we run the joint basically because we think we run, and it's like we don't think we run anything. We just do what we do because we enjoy it. We get nice feedback. I mean, let's be real. In the critiques, for example, there's very little, maybe 30 people have watched the critique video, and there's usually very little back and forth about it. It's just people watch them, and maybe they learn, maybe they don't. Hopefully they do, I will say. But it's the whole thing, and I'll bring it into with the Tumblr thing now. To me, one of the things I've learned is when people react to stuff, it's usually got nothing to do with what's going on, but with themselves. And it's whatever issues they bring, whatever issues they've got going on. Sometimes they don't want to deal with them, whatever. I get it. Instead of just dealing with the issue, and that's exactly what happens. All of the stuff with community and all this stuff. Well, what what I mean? What about you? Why are you seeing it this way? And so I've learned, as I've learned to just keep my mouth shut and accept the fact that that's where they are, because this is where I am. And hey, sometimes we just can't hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and walk down the yellow brick road. Oh, I hate that movie. But that's the way it is. And so with this whole thing, because community is important about this whole thing with Tumblr, I don't get it. I mean, there's actually a couple of people who I know haven't been several people who haven't even been participating very much, who have come back to just, vent about Tumblr and all that stuff. And I'm like, but you haven't been around much. You haven't been around really for quite a while, but yet you come back to why? So, and then some of the other stuff, which is why I did the Protect the Creators protest. I started that one. I started, and I'm not the protest type at all. I started the Bring Back Replies for the same reason, and this one for the same reason. We can sit here and complain and fuck you Tumblr and blah blah blah, but the bottom line is, shit or get off the pot. If you want to leave, leave. It'll be heartbreaking. Yes, I get it. We can always, there's Facebook, there's stuff, or if you want to stay because you love the platform because of the community that's there, like you said, and that was a really well-written piece, because I was thinking of doing the same thing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to write so much. So you wrote so much, but it was good. Then do something about it. I mean, I have to say, someone just commented, didn't even like the post, just commented on our, because there's the two, there's the log off one, and then there's ours that says no more female nipples, no log, no post, and then also suggest logging out completely for Monday at least, starting.
Can I kind of just jump in there? Two things. Number one is, I guess that most people watching this will know what we are talking about, but maybe there's one or two people who don't know, who are not on Tumblr and don't really know what these changes that we're talking about, and what Fern mentioned, the nipple gate, the Tumblr nipple gate, probably we can probably call it like that. Tumblr used to be, or still is, until including Sunday, tomorrow, a platform that allows adult content. And out of the blue, last week, suddenly there was this, or seemingly out of the blue, there was this announcement that Tumblr shuts down adult content. So adult content is now not allowed on Tumblr anymore. So what's the deal with that? Adult content, at least according to the new Tumblr guidelines that will take, be the actual Tumblr guidelines from Monday the 17th on, don't not only disallow all sorts of pornographic imagery, but also nudity. So while this doesn't seem to, how can I put that?
Female present.
Uncommon for social media platforms. We have that ban on Facebook since the beginning. The same ban is on Instagram, of course. The thing though is, and that's at least what kind of struck me and what made me write that longish post that I will link in the description, is the incredible misogynist undertone of that. Well, it's not even an undertone, because it is stated in these new Tumblr guidelines, community guidelines, that females presenting nipples.
Female presenting nipple. Yes, that's it.
Females presenting nipples are now considered to be adult content, which has a couple of implications, of course, because this will completely shut down all nude photography, artistic nude photography, fine art nude photography on Tumblr, together with all the other nudity that is or used to be on Tumblr. There were a couple of, and if you want to know more about that, I will try to put some interesting links in the description of this post later. A couple of really well-written articles on the web why this nudity ban or adult content ban is actually really harmful. I think this would go too far for this discussion because we want to talk about photography. The thing though is that, and I think to go back on the photography train, a lot of photographers who built their blogs for years and years and years and years on Tumblr, who put their whole portfolio on Tumblr because they were allowed to. Amazing artists who were nude photographers, are also nude photographers, have now, from one moment to the other, basically leave this platform because they are not allowed to do anymore what they were allowed to do since the beginning. And that is because Tumblr made some statements, and I will also link the new Tumblr guidelines in the description, that Tumblr needs to become a more, or they want to make the Tumblr leadership wants to make Tumblr a more positive place, which is, if you think about that, by banning nudity, by banning especially female nipples, which is incredibly sexist, incredibly misogynist, and it's just, if you ask me, it's a slap in the face for every woman, because female nipples or showing female nipples is allowed if it's about breastfeeding, and if it's about showing medical treatment, or if it's connected to birth, which is absolutely degrading parts of the female body to its function. And if you think about that, I actually made, and that's why I mentioned in the beginning that my other blog, I made a test because I was curious, right? I thought, because and Carol wrote that in the chat, there's no conspiracy, there are only algorithms. What she meant by that is that currently there are algorithms, bots crawling through Tumblr and flag everything as adult that, for whatever reason, these algorithms deem to be adult content, which in most cases, I would even say, well, I can't say most cases, in the realms of Tumblr where I'm crawling through, which is not the adult part of Tumblr, except for nude photography, of course. Almost none of the posts that were flagged as adult content were in any way even remotely adult. And so I thought, well, why not try something, right? Because if female nipples are banned, especially if it's put down that way, females presenting nipples are not allowed on Tumblr. So males presenting nipples must be allowed. And so I posted a photo of me presenting my nipple, just one, right? And was instantly flagged. So now I feel, I really have to say, I feel absolutely mistreated because I did nothing wrong. And I requested a review. That's what you can do. And now I'm still waiting for more than a week, 1.5 weeks, for the decision of Tumblr. According to their own guidelines, trained professionals and experts look at the posts. Some real human beings look at the posts that are requested a review for. And apparently they either cannot decide whether I'm a man, which is kind of obvious from the picture, or they cannot decide whether males presenting nipples might be just as inappropriate and adult content as females presenting nipples. And now I talked enough, I guess. I think that makes it clear so far.
Okay. So when I was talking about the log off, let me share my screen real quick. There is application window, share. So there is this one. I don't know if you can see it, the log off protest, which is for this December the 17th, which I didn't know about when I did this one. By the way, this one as of now has almost 400,000 notes, which means likes and comments and so on. But this is huge. Then we have the one that I did, again, in my usual simple style of protect the creators and bring back replies, which was, oh, I love this picture. I actually posted this one immediately when I saw it in submissions. There's that one, but this is from another source. And then there's this one. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here we go. And this one has 3,300 notes, and this is basically the same thing. Again, I didn't know that the log off protest was on. I wouldn't have done this if I would have known. But it calls for no post. I don't know if you've noticed, but I put this on, and I created it this way so it can go on your avatar. If you want to use it, you can just download it. There's actually a link to the file somewhere in here. And I also did suggest, just log off, log out for a day. So there's actually the two protests. The other one has a lot more following, and I think it's just a great idea. But this is why I think that person and I both thought the same thing. We want to stay here. We want it to be better. I'm not going to pick up, like Pete said, I'm not, because there was a comment posted on this the no female nipples protest today. Well, if you don't like it, just leave. And it's like, no, it's like we've done before. We like this. And I will say, and Pete and I were talking about this earlier, protect the creators. We did get a reaction from Tumblr. They did do some things, not much, but it was when they put in the whole thing about not being able to, that you could remove, but you couldn't before. You could edit a lot of the content in the description. Now you can either delete it or you have to leave it, but you can't change the description and that kind of thing, which is okay, and a lot of us stayed. And then for bring back replies, I don't know if you remember that, They brought back replies. And they actually contacted Pete and me. They emailed us. I didn't see the email until later, but we got an email from support. Right. So they do listen. Whether something will happen now that it's owned by Verizon and yada 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 yada, who knows?
I think I'm pretty I can say that on the video, while I can't post that probably to my blog, but I can say that on my videos. Because I presume, well, I won't say anything that I wouldn't say into people's faces. I don't put anything on my blog that I wouldn't show people in real life, and I don't say anything on my videos that I wouldn't say to people's faces or anything. But I work for a pretty huge company, and I've been working for that company for like 18 years. and that company is one of the world's biggest companies. I think it's, yeah, certainly one of the world's biggest companies. And we work, on the other hand, for another huge company. So, and I know quite a lot of people who are really like in the management, and I know some of them pretty good. So I know how huge companies work. And of course, they don't give a flying fuck what you do and what I do. They have their own agenda, and they have to, and they're also under a certain pressure. Of course, there's always the question, of course, whether something you do is the right thing to do or not the right thing to do. That is a different discussion. But so it's not so easy to say, hey, they don't, or I think it would be too easy to say they don't listen anyway, because they do listen, but they don't give a flying fuck if they're like 4 people saying that. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Alok Sharma writes, Pete, you're in conspiracy theory. Yeah, maybe I am. But on the other hand, and I want to talk about what you mentioned on your, because on my post I also had a kind of a discussion with someone that I didn't know before, still don't know, just had this discussion on my post, commented on my post, like saying, basically saying that we're naive thinking that we can change anything because the big companies don't give a flying fuck. Right. Okay. Which I agree, they don't. But on the other hand, and then this person wrote something like, yeah, but why don't you? And that's actually the why I had the idea for talking about this in this episode. Right? Why don't you just take your community and go to a different place? Like, how can you put a community from one place to a different place? That's not possible. You cannot take a community, because the community grew in that very specific environment. And I absolutely understand why people leave. And I totally support everyone who says, I can't stay here, like for whatever reason, like saying I can't do what I used to do here before, or I can't stay on this platform under these circumstances. I mean, there was more going on before that all happened. The Tumblr app was kicked out of the iOS app store for reasons, whatever. I don't want to go into that.
But remember, I don't know if you saw the article that I think I did post I did share on Luxlit. The move, this whole move to do this shinier, friendlier Tumblr was like planned like 6 months before the whole thing with the Apple Store and the child porn. So it had nothing to do with this. That just apparently accelerated the move, which is something, again,
But that's the thing. I see. Other than this whole thing, that I personally think it's an incredibly stupid thing to, and it's disingenuous, and it's basically lying into our faces and doing that stuff. We as Tumblr users, as bloggers who have been there for years. And of course, none of us runs one of these big blogs, right? But, and that's the thing, and here we are at a community, and that's what I wanted to or want to talk about is when it's for me, it would be super easy to leave. I have no loyalty to Tumblr. I don't care for Tumblr. If I want to post my photos, I can post them on Flickr, or I can post them to 500px. I would certainly not go to Instagram, because in my personal opinion, Instagram and Facebook is the devil incarnated. Like, just what happened if you watch the news or paid a bit of attention, what happens on Facebook right now and what happens on Instagram right now. That's evil. And if you, in my personal opinion, someone supporting that platform. But I understand if people stay there. Like I stay on Tumblr because I built my blogs there, and I've been here on Tumblr for like 6 years, and I stay for the people and not because of the platform. And if everyone leaves, I might leave as well, right? But that's the thing. And if you say, well, something I don't like that, what's happening, so I'll just go. And saying that's the hard bit. No, that's not the hard bit. That's the easy bit. Staying and trying to fight for a cause, even if you think it's a lost cause. And maybe I'm call me naive. I don't care because I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, you can, of course, you can stay and say, okay, I'll just take it and I'll shut up, or you can complain all of the time, or you can just. I don't see myself as a person to fight the big corporations. That's kind of naive, in my personal opinion, because why do people leave? Because they are not happy anymore. Which is a fact. Not well, it's probably a fact, which is just how it goes, and that's the thing. If I can still do what I want to do, why would I leave? And if I still have my friends here, why would I leave? And there's a thing, and I think it's important that at least some people stay who I don't see myself as an educator, at least not in terms of decent behavior. But what I think it's important that, because you see so much bullshit floating around about Tumblr, that's actually that kind of that bugs me when I see posts like I saw that from a really an amazing nude photographer saying posting nudes and this is not porn. Tumblr, this is not porn. Yeah, that Tumblr doesn't say that it's porn. Tumblr doesn't define nude photography now as porn and therefore bans it. Tumblr bans nudes. That's what's happening. And that's the bad thing that's happening.
Well, and it's funny because
suddenly I'm almost finished. So Tumblr says Tumblr is now or will be a better place because we ban nudes, and that's
but they haven't
we
banned
need
nudes.
to talk about, and that's something we need to talk about on this platform.
But they haven't banned nudes. No, remember, nude. No, if it's art, but then that's the problem. So they're defining paintings or sculpture that were made 500 years ago by some dirty old man as art. But if
apparently nude photography is not art according to the Tumblr guidelines, and that's what bugs me.
Yes, but so here's the thing, Carol, and it's funny because Alok also commented in a way. So Carol said, "But what can we do except no post on December 17th?" There's three things, and then Alok said, "Rightly said, Pete. Maybe someone needs to keep complaining." That's the point.
Right.
That's exactly the point. That's why I eventually, and I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
Until Tumblr brought the replies back, because thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people continued to complain, to write posts, to do events like that. It is
Get creative. Did you see some of the posts that people created for Bring Back Replies? They're wonderful. I actually reblogged them on Luxlit. But here's the thing, too. It isn't just that. It's also the fact that what's interesting about this is, I don't know if y'all, but I've seen articles like in HuffPost and other, like I don't know, The Verge or whatever, several of the more hip magazines talking about this whole issue with Tumblr. So it's out there. So if we keep kicking up shit, there's also the other thing which nobody has talked about, and I read this on somewhere a couple of like a week ago. Verizon just wrote off like close to $500 million on its losses on Yahoo, which included the purchase of Tumblr. So they're losing money on this, and that's what's the bottom line here. If we every couple of months just do a, hey, y'all, blackout day, boom. That affects their bottom line because it's not, and let me tell you, I actually hate using Tumblr on mobile. So I just deleted uninstalled my Tumblr app. I've already logged out of a couple of my devices, and I have Tumblr on 3 devices on 3 or 4 different, or 2 or 3 different, no, 2 different browsers. I'm going to log off every one of them. And it's a pain in the butt. And like I wrote about the thing, about LuxLit and nothing on the queue to make absolutely sure nothing but that no nipples thing gets posted that day. But I have to admit, all of this is kind of fun because, in a sense, getting back to your thing about community, Pete, and what you were talking about, bring back replies, especially, it's all of us as communities and not just the Tumblr original photographer community, but a whole bunch of other people who are saying, hey, okay, maybe I should do something. The log off, I mean, that's almost 400,000 people with likes and comments. Let's say only 1/4 of that. That's 100,000 people for a day not posting and logging off Tumblr. That's huge. Especially when, again, getting back to the content, specifically of the female presenting nipples, it was B.W. Whitney who posted, he said, hypocrisy much, and then he showed the photos, ads that were these young women with, of course, the breasts and tightly packed and showing, but of course you're not showing any nipples. So it's okay to sexualize women and to make money off it. It's okay to sell, I mean, it's not around anymore, but what was that series, Girls Gone Wild? As long as you don't show me the nipples in the ad, that's okay. You know what I mean? So it's all of that, but I think, I mean, while on the one hand, posts, individual posts, rants, whatever, are wonderful, but I think when we get together and as a group, and when it's organized that way, that shows, hey, there's something here that y'all need to pay attention to. What's really sad, I have to say, I tried looking for the log off, the $400,000 notes one, the log off on Monday. I tried to find who started it, but unfortunately, there's just so many. You know how you can scroll down and see who originally posted something?
Yeah,
I couldn't find that person, but it would have been great to try and get to talk to them too, because again, if I'd have known, I wouldn't have done diddly squat. As a matter of fact, Pete, you were the one who told me about it originally, and I think it was like 2 days after I posted
Wasn't me.
No, it was you, because you said the Mazette had told you about it. It was
right. Okay, then it was me. Then it was the Mazette.
Right.
Who told me what I told you.
Right. But the bottom line is, to Carol and Alok's comments about what do we do in keeping protesting. Exactly. And it's fun because of 2 things. Because it brings us all together. No matter how different our individual opinions about this may be, but together we decide to go. And did you see that? Yes, we do this, and then lots of pictures of me doing this. But we also, when we do that, usually, I mean, with the others, not this one maybe so much, but we get creative. I mean, for no replies, for bring back replies, especially, people got really creative and posted photographs and videos that were awesome. So it's a way to really kind of spike up the community every once in a while, So I honestly, again, as someone who is not very much into protesting and who's kind of quiet, I get excited about this because it juices us up, and better to be juiced up together, even if some of us are really pissed off and whatever, and saying, fuck you, Tumblr, but we're doing it together. And that to me is lovely. I have to say, it's also very touching.
What kind of, and I know that I'm absolutely aware of that this is a very, very unpopular opinion that I have. I do understand the move Tumblr made. I don't agree with it at all. I think it's really very, very, it's toxic for a lot of people. It's extremely hypocritical. It's terribly misogynist. But I understand the move. I mean, Tumblr, the platform as it is an easy to use platform. Is one of the reasons why I used it or have been using it for years, because it's very simple. And so it would be a great place for children and teenagers just for the usability. And there would have been a way to shut kids out of the adult part of Tumblr. And the
Well, they
first
had that with the box.
they had that, and that's what I wanted to say. I mean, there was the change like 2 years ago or something when adult or blogs with when you had the possibility to flag your not only your blog as adult but even separate posts, which I did, by the way. I did that. I flagged some of my writings on my writing blog as sensitive because there were adult topics in that. So, and now, fun fact: now with this change, suddenly these texts, these written texts, are shown on my blog when I log in as explicit, which is crazy, right? And I have no way to switch that back because that switch disappeared. So all I can do is to delete them, and maybe, I don't know, some of them I don't really now I don't like one or two of these texts, don't like them anymore. Maybe I will. So to repost them, my own texts, because now apparently, because texts are now allowed on Tumblr. Well, allowed, they were allowed before, but see, the thing is, it is an absolutely toxic move that Tumblr made, and it is a damaging thing for a lot of people, especially women, young women who were suddenly. I mean, let's face it, especially women, and especially also the LGBTQ plus community. They had a place where they were allowed to be themselves, where they were allowed to express themselves, where they were allowed to to explore their sexuality, which is nowhere possible. And it was on Tumblr, and there was a way to put that, because you have to, if you log into Tumblr. When I or not log in, if you register, when I registered to Tumblr 6 years ago, I thought, why do you even ask for my birth date, for my year of birth, when there's nothing you can do with that information other than, I thought maybe it's just so that they have statistics, or that they can put adverts in for my but then it was used for shutting people under 18 out of adult blogs.
Right.
And adult blogs, avatars were blurred on. If you even as an adult, when you switched on safe search, of course there were people who didn't flag their blogs, and that's where Tumblr should have put effort into, to make people safe who didn't want to see this sort of content. They should have implemented a feature. I don't want that adult blogs or explicit blogs are even allowed to follow me. Things like that. It would have been possible, easily possible.
Well, yes and no, because and there's two examples I'm thinking of. One of them was the reason I left Lensblur, and this one wasn't so much the nudity as it was the violence against women, and it wasn't BDSM, body, what is it, body discipline and sadomasochism. It was violence against women in trash cans with their butt hanging out, women looking like they had just been beaten with bruises and stuff. And so my issue with that specifically was that this Tumblr that we shared and went without knowing originally, or at least I didn't know, that we shared some of their content on LensBlur, and I was totally against that. And the whole thing of art freedom, it's like, I'm sorry, but if you don't want to see that, I mean, if you're in a museum, who's the guy who does statues, who does ceramics, who loves to create, the bearded guy, he actually taught here at UC Davis, or was a student here at UC Davis. He's at like the San Francisco Museum of Art, and a lot of his sculptures is of him, and several of them are with his penis out, and I'm like, dude, lovely, but no, I don't know, and they're just bad. They're just not. So it's like, no. And I think, like in a museum like that, you walk by and it'll say this content, yada 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 yada. So there was that Tumblr, and that was not marked adult, because not all of the pictures were like that, but a lot of them were. And then there was the other one, who was specifically someone who would every once in a while have photographs of either his gay male partner naked, or his gay male partner doing acts of sex, or this person's erect penis. And again, it was some lovely pictures, but it was also a Tumblr that wasn't marked for adults. I'm sorry. I have no issues with any of that, although I did find it also a bit racist because of several reasons. But I don't necessarily want to be going through my dashboard and seeing this kind of stuff, and I don't think any of us. And that's why I stopped. Once I realized that this was going on, I stopped posting that guy on Tumblr. You know how I feel about, on Luxlit, because we should have a choice. Yeah, and it's unfair for us to warn. You know what I mean? Yeah, like you did with PWS. With
that's
the
what I actually meant. That's where Tumblr should have made the put their effort into to give us the choice whether I don't want to see these things. It doesn't bother me in the least. I don't. I mean, I've been part of PWS Fine Art Nudes, the blog that specialized on nude photography, fine art nude photography. So I don't care for seeing stuff like that. But I want to have the choice whether I want to see it or not, and it can't be
or when.
And when, right? And there's a thing. I mean, I think there is a difference. I have no problem with porn whatsoever. I just don't want to be. It's like you said it in a different for a different reason. But I can put out my I could have put out, because I could have now I could have just simply switched safe search on, and then because I don't follow porn blogs, but sometimes people post something that is kind of pornish. I had never had real porn on my dash, but there are there's imagery that some people post, which doesn't bother me at all, but I don't want to necessarily stare on that while I'm on the train and people can look into my phone, right? So,
or at work.
Or at work, right? Well, at work I can't go on Tumblr anyway, but I want to have. No, I can't. I have to work at work. That's the thing. That's the difference, probably.
So do I, but every once in a while you need a break. I mean, even our bosses, so you walk in and see them on Facebook or something like that. Really?
No.
Anyway.
Whatever. So that's where, and the tools were there. They were very, very rudimentary, but the tools were there. And just saying, no, we'll just make the cut, and no nude photography. As I said, I get it. No, nude photography. That's what they wrote. Like, yeah,
oh, that's true. Yeah.
But that's what and that's what bugs me, to say the hypocrisy, to say statues are okay, paintings are okay, as long as we don't see genitals. But even in paintings, it's kind of unclear, right?
Right.
And there's a thing, like they wrote, like, it's in the guidelines, like the Statue of David is was it Statue of David is okay, and then I saw a fucking Statue of David flagged explicit on Tumblr, because
Yeah.
the algorithms they used, and that's the thing. It was just, and I saw that somewhere floating around on Tumblr. Someone, and there we are at conspiracy theories again. Like, yeah, there's what's all behind that whole thing, and they kind of took the new guidelines apart, and this means that, and that is constructed. And so, no, it's not. It's just slammed together because they wanted to get their damn app back on the Apple on the App Store. So we have to do something. And if you read the guidelines, it's just it's a mess.
Yes.
And I'm not even a native speaker, and when I read that, even I see that it's just slammed together, and some people horrible, and
so
it doesn't
go
make
ahead.
any sense at all. There's no consistency in there. The wording is just so off that it's only because instead of getting their shit together, they just did something in a panic move to put that what was apparently, if in case that's true, I have no reason to doubt it, but I also have no reason to believe it. It makes sense to me, so I kind of believe it, that it was planned like months ago, but they just had to push it forward to get their app, and it worked. Like a week after they announced that, boom, the app was back on the App Store.
So here's the thing. Two things about, one of them is about the algorithm being stupid too, and how incredibly dumb it is. I don't know if you saw it, but someone I follow, we actually critiqued one of their photographs this last time, by the way.
I still don't know who we critiqued.
Huh?
I don't know who we critiqued, other than those who put their watermarks in.
They posted two photos of which I thought were funny, although one was political, and but oh well. He actually said, "Oh, let me see if the algorithm will catch this." And it was these two guys out in public with their penises out, and nothing. At least when I saw it, nothing. There was no flag. There was no adult content. There's that. Now the other thing is, and again, which goes back to the money comment and the whole thing with the porn bots and all of this that's been going on, the conversation on YouTube. In the article, and I think I posted it on here, and I'll look for it. I mean, on Luxlet, and I'll if I did, I'll send Pete the link so he can put it on the in the article with this guy who used to be a programmer for Tumblr. One of the things he did, they not only said, well, a guy, I don't know if it was a guy, it could have been a gal. So they said not only that this had been going on for like 6 months prior to the move because of Apple, and the App Store, but also that Tumblr had been and has been getting rid of programmers. So what does that tell you? They don't really give a fuck. And I get that. And maybe that's what I'm pushing for, to be honest with you. And I've thought about this a couple of times. Again, shit or get off the pot. If you're not going to do this right, and it doesn't have to be fancy. I don't expect dancing bears on my app and blah, 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 and glitter and all, just what it is. I'm perfectly happy with Tumblr as it is. Don't get me wrong, technically. Then just kill it and let me move on. And then, and that's the way I feel. I'm not going anywhere until it's absolutely dead, like Google Plus. However, there's also the fact that there was something else that I was heading towards on this. Anyway, that's the whole thing to me, that they should, or at least pay some attention to it to try to build it, because the thing is, even with the advertising, I mean, I understand, because, and again, it's not. And it goes back to the beginning of Tumblr. Tumblr, I remember when I first joined Tumblr, and I used to tell people, especially like my students, or well, I wasn't teaching anymore, but the young people I worked with and stuff like that, that I was on Tumblr, they were like, dude, you're on Tumblr? Because Tumblr was all about being young, being hip, being, you know, cool. Tumblr was the cool place. Why they let Pete in, I have no idea. But or me, and actually for that matter.
Because
And
I'm young, I'm hip, and I'm cool, at least
yeah,
compared to Fern.
Nah, sure, whatever. When you get to be my age, I'll still be around, and I will laugh at you for having said that. But anyway, the
Live
thing is that
fast, die young.
huh? What?
Live fast, die young.
No, well, no, not really. There's an advantage to being old and living a little faster later in life. But anyway, stop making me digress. The thing with Tumblr is that it is still, in a way, this outlier, not quite popular, where people, like you said, Pete, you know, where sex workers, where artists who do all kinds of work, where people who just want to express themselves, fandoms and so on, come, because there's other places. You could use Ello, which I'm really surprised nobody has talked about Ello. You know, and I kind of like Ello. You know what I mean? There's other places to do it, but again, there's already been this community, and there's this aura to Tumblr, and it still kind of exists of being, you know, I'm not part of the mainstream. Fuck you. Like you. I'm not on Facebook. I'm on Tumblr. Fuck you. And that's the whole thing. You know what I mean? And they're misreading that. And I think,
because
because
I'm
that's
hip
the,
and I'm young and I'm cool.
yeah, whatever. And that's the other thing the article said, by the way. Plan behind Verizon doing this with Tumblr of looking at doing this was the monetization of all kinds of social, because they do kind of recognize that. And one of the examples that was brought up, which just horrified the shit out of me, was that one of the things that was discussed in one of the meetings was, you know, how do we monetize the Black Lives movement? You know what I mean? Black Lives Matter movement. And that's what they're thinking of doing. So it is about the money, and they do recognize it to a point, but they don't recognize how much more useful it would be to just leave that the freedom, and yes, you know, create a better algorithm, create better safeguards. I get that, because no, and but not do this, because all those people, if they wanted to monetize things like Black Lives Matter and the transgender movement and the LGBTQ plus community, those people aren't going to want to be fit in a little safe box, because a lot of what they do is considered by the mainstream as unsavory, unpalatable, unsafe, disgusting, yada 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 yada. And so what they're not understanding the broader implications, and not giving a fuck either. How many times have I said fuck so far? And done this so far?
More often than I did, and that's a lot. Can I just I pulled up the community guidelines, and I just want to read the part of, oopsie, where it is. Yes, close without sending. I don't want to send anything. Here we are. Where are we now? Darn. What Tumblr is not for, and there's a lot of terrorism, hate speech, harm to minors, promotion of glorification of self-harm, unmarked sensitive content, violent content, uploading sexually explicit video, blah, 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 blah. Deceptive or fraudulent links. That's what the porn bots are about. They'll send you to fraudulent whatever places. So what is, and then it all links to, because it was about adult content, right? And I just don't find it at the moment. Give me a moment. Harm to minors, hate speech, unmarked sensitive content. violent, blah blah blah. Whatever. It sends you to the help center. Adult content. Is adult content allowed on Tumblr? Starting December 17th, adult content will not be allowed on Tumblr, regardless of how old you are. You can read more about what kinds of contents are not allowed on Tumblr in your community guidelines if you spot a post, blah, blah. What is adult content? Now, we have to really... The wording is just so telling. Adult content primarily includes photos, videos, or GIFs that show real-life human genitals or females presenting nipples, and any content including photos, videos, GIFs, and illustrations that depicts sex acts. So, adult content, and that's, for me as a European, I can't just, for me, it's just shaking my head against, oh, the Americans, right? Because everything else, violence, whatever, that all is not adult content. So you can, whatever. Okay, but real life, something that shows real life human genitals or females presenting nipples. So genitals and female nipples. What is still permitted? Examples of exception that are still permitted are exposed female presenting nipples. Who came up with females presenting nipples? And I'm sorry if you, in case you are the person who came up with that, I really is, in case you're watching that, I doubt that, but this apparently shows to me that you never saw a female nipple in real life, other than probably your mom's while she was breastfeeding you. Because it's like, maybe this is like the epitome of a computer nerd who've never... Okay, that so far my rant. Examples of exceptions that are still permitted are exposed females presenting nipples in connection with breastfeeding, birth, or after birth moments, and health-related situations such as post-mastectomy, yes, or gender confirmation surgery. Written content such as erotica, nudity related to political or newsworthy speech, and nudity found in art. And now it becomes interesting. And nudity found in art, such as sculptures and illustrations, are also stuff that can be freely posted on Tumblr. So no photography. So photography apparently is not considered to be art on Tumblr. So that's a thing. What will happen to my adult content already on Tumblr? We will send out email notices to members of the Tumblr community whose content has been flagged. If your content has been flagged, etc., etc. So they won't delete your blog if you posted in the past adult content. So that's what really threw me off as a photographer, because apparently photography is not considered to be art by those people on Tumblr who make the rules. And which is kind of interesting when we look at, for example, the Tumblr radar. And I've been observing that the Tumblr radar is kind of, for those of you watching who are not on Tumblr, Tumblr radar is something like showing content that people posted to every logged in Tumblr user. And the amount of photography on Tumblr radar has, at least in my personal impression, went down drastically. This is not a complaint from my side. It's just I found it very interesting that a couple of years ago there was much more photography on Tumblr radar than is now. Now it's mostly half of what is on Tumblr radar. To me, seems like paid advertisement, celebrities who have their have their blogs on Tumblr. Like I saw Britney Spears quite often. I didn't even know that she's still there, that she even still exists as an artist. Then there's some other musician that I don't even know. I googled her, and lots of self-advertisement, music on Tumblr, their own blogs, and yeah, lots of illustrations. So that's something apparently that Tumblr pushes or has been pushing in the last month a lot, which is again no complaint. It just shows to me that and maybe it's that it would have been interesting. Could have checked. Probably there's this one blog, all radar posts, all dash radar dash posts, that reblogs every post that has been on Tumblr radar, and would have been interesting. Maybe someone could check when Yahoo sold Flickr, or Verizon sold Flickr to SmugMug, which I learned this week that it was sold. Funnily enough, that's also something I want to mention, but I'll do that after this. Maybe that was related, right? Verizon getting rid of all photography related things by kicking Flickr or selling Flickr. Photography apparently not really a big thing on Tumblr anymore, which again is nothing that I find distressing or disturbing or annoying or anything, because we have our own community on Tumblr. We have all these amazing blogs, Lens Blur, Photographer Society, Imaging, PWS, Luxlit, Original Photographers, Camera Raw, all of these amazing. And I just mentioned those that went through my head. If you are part of any other blog, and I didn't mention you, that has nothing to do with you. I'm just, even though, yeah, whatever. So there are tons. We are not dependent on Tumblr radar or on Tumblr featuring us. If it comes to that, I mean,
Right.
we support each other, and I think that's what's the interesting bit. I mean, just not that we have too many viewers, at least not in YouTube terms, but I find it amazing when I look at the clicks and the views of these conversations that we have been doing for more than 2 years now. That's only possible because of people who are interested and people who engage and people who are part of this all, and so that's what I wrote in my post. And Tumblr is not the platform. Tumblr is not some CEO. Tumblr is not this or that blog. Tumblr is you and me and Fern and everyone, and who put something into this huge machinery, and by that creating this huge machinery. And if someone leaves or someone new arrives and is part of that, then the machine changes, and so the community changes. And that's what I meant, and that's how I started the whole thing here, is that it's not, you cannot construct a community. A community creates itself, and it changes over time. And you know that, Fern, you've been part of a couple of curated blogs, and Luxlit changed over the years. PWS changed over the years. PWS changes with every new member and with every member who leaves, and every member who leaves is a loss for the blog and a loss for the community, and it's a sad thing usually. So at least it was with the last 5, 6, 7 members who left. It was always a big was a sad day every time, but things change, and there's when things stop changing, then they're dead, and then nothing happens anymore, and then we can say goodbye. And as long as things change, we might not always love the change that is happening, but at least
So
the change means we're alive, right?
I wanted to the whole thing about photography not being art. I mean, really, are we surprised? Because that's another thing. Again, thinking about how some of this reflects broader cultural traits, if you will. The bottom line is, I mean, I've been looking around for at galleries and what they sell and all that stuff to maybe push my own photography, and most of the art galleries do not even have one or two photographers, because it's not about photography. Photography is not considered art for whatever reason, and it has rarely ever been. But it's just not. It's just not. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it because anybody can grab a camera, and that's been going on forever. But yeah, But yeah. Anyway, is there anything else, or are we finished?
I want to test something because I tried that on. Oh, I have to. No, I'm unmuted. Yes. I want to test something because apparently YouTube is also very strict with, but that's the thing. Like, you go into YouTube, you know what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and
which is different because you're not changing the rules all of a sudden, and you're not just changing the rules from this to this.
This is just extremely bad. So, I made that because Tumblr changed now and everything gets flagged. So what I did is I posted.
We're gonna have to look at your
nipple picture of this cock, right? And it wasn't flagged. And now let's see if YouTube flags that. So this is a cock, because cocks apparently are not allowed. Are allowed. Nude chicks are not. And this is a cock. It is visible here. If it's okay.
And it does have nipples.
It does have nipples. No, these are the wings.
Ah.
Well, that's also
the red thing on the front.
Oh, and it squeals. In case anyone. So, I was
going to say something else, but I'm not. So yes.
What? There's one thing maybe very interesting, because I also made in the announcement of the post, because funnily enough, I mentioned also in my post that I made that I might start posting my photos on Flickr again, because I don't see. I love Tumblr, or I used to love Tumblr, because I could do everything. Like here, I posted my stories that I recorded and that I parked on SoundCloud. I posted them to Tumblr, and I embed videos from YouTube to Tumblr, and that's for me like the thing. So that's also what I meant. I can go to YouTube and I can go to Flickr and whatever. So it's not, I have no loyalty to Tumblr. I love being on Tumblr because I love the way the platform works. I think it's the craziest, and now at the moment I'm pretty pissed off. And I love the people, and there is a community there, and as long as there's a community, I will be there as well. But funnily enough, today I got an email on my Flickr, because apparently, which I didn't know, I still have my account. I haven't been posting there for years and years, and today I got an email about changed community guidelines on Flickr, which of course this morning when I went to work, I sat in the bus and I saw on my phone the emails. Okay, that is changing on Flickr. And okay, so if you now tell me that you also don't allow nudes anymore, then I certainly won't go back to Flickr, because that would be the only reason why I'd go back to Flickr as well, because I can post my very rare nude photography. This doesn't make sense to make a separate account somewhere else because of my nude photography, because I haven't been done so many nudes. Okay, and I read that, and I found that very, very interesting by just reading how they worded their guidelines. It was much more respectful towards actual artists. And the next thing is they say, okay, what will change is blah 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 blah, nothing about nudes. But Flickr had this thing that you got 1 terabyte of storage space with a free account. And they say, we won't do that anymore. You don't get 1 terabyte with a free account. But you can post 1,000 photos free, because we checked and most free accounts didn't even post 1,000 photos, and only the pro accounts posted more than 1,000 photos, and nobody and people just used the storage space to back up their stuff. So and we want you as a free user also to be part of the whole system. We want you to show your photos and not just use the storage space for your raw files, right? Which was possible. And so that's what I found pretty interesting, because the way they approached the users, and it's also we take you seriously, we don't take you. That's what they actually wrote. I don't know, I have to rephrase that, but the meaning was that we don't see you as a money making machine. We want you to be part of this community. And that's what I found very, very interesting, to see. Maybe it was also well, no, I think they would have mentioned somehow nudity in there, but there were a lot of other platforms who really used this Tumblr panic move, as I see it, or try to use it for their advantage and say, okay, if you want to leave Tumblr, we want to have you. We want to have you, and that's indeed a thing when we think about that. Why does, and that for me just shows how much of a panic move that was from Tumblr, that others now can advertise for their platforms by saying, hey, we want you, they don't. So come to us, whoever you are, come to us. We have a place for you. And so I'm really curious what will happen. And I can lean back, because I know that even though it would be a shame, and I would be angry, and I would be extremely sad if Tumblr would go down the drain because of that. But there are plenty of places to go, and that's, as far as I see it, or at least that's how I see it, that is the chance that we have, because we don't need to stay on this platform. We want to stay, at least those who stay, because we created what we have now, and it will change. We created this community, and I had a couple of very, very lovely conversations. You know what this is about, Fern, and I won't give any spoilers yet. I'm currently working on something that I hope will work out, and therefore I got into contact with a couple of people of other curated blogs, and it's all of these conversations were just lovely, and to me just showed, yes, this is the community that I want to be part of. And I was on a dozen different platforms before I went to Tumblr, and when I was on Tumblr, I played around with, I guess, with 500px and with Elo a bit, and nothing kind of gave me the right feeling, because the people were different. The people acted differently, and I've never felt so at home in anywhere on the internet as on Tumblr. And you see that, or at least for me, it's just evidence that so many people who left in the past and who screamed and yelled and Tumblr is shit and blah, and they all came back. And they left again, and they came back, and they left, and they came back. I could tell you like 15 names or something. We just, wow, and we got to go, and we can move, and everything is shit, and the community is shit, and everyone is shit, and you're shit, and bam, boom, they were there again, like two weeks later. So it's about the people, and so we'll see what will happen, and maybe we can make something out of this that will bring the community even closer together. That at least is my hope. I can call me naive, but maybe
I'll call you a lot of things. Anyway, for the one thing I did want to bring up, and I kept forgetting. So BW Whitney posted asking if anybody knew, and the post has been removed now. If anybody knew whether if you back up your Tumblr, if you do a backup and to do a download, which it creates a zip file, which is everything is compressed. If it'll erase your content, which I don't think so, but it was a good question, so I said, well, let me try. So I went to,
It doesn't erase any content.
Yes, but you never know. So I told him, well, I'm gonna try, and I tried doing doing it for a Tumblr that I have, a side blog that has maybe like 12 posts, and it showed that it's backing up for like 2 days. And eventually I didn't get any message, but I did see, I logged into Tumblr again, and I saw that the backup is there. So I'm like, you know what? I was doing this from home. Let me go and do it at work, where I have not medium speed Wi-Fi, but I have high speed internet via the Ethernet. So it's connected, it's hardwired. And yes, the backup was created again, and the backup that was already created failed. So and then I tried it again from scratch. I tried creating the new backup, and again the same thing. It just kept showing backup, and then eventually when I logged on at another time, it did show the backup is created. I went in, I clicked, bad backup. So as I told BW Whitney, and this is just for any of you who are thinking about backing your stuff up, which I've thought about, not the pictures, but some of the written stuff. It's there, and it can be backed up, but apparently, and I'm going to go out and I agree with BW Whitney, maybe it's because of the rush for a lot of people to back their stuff up. It's either really slow or it's really messed up. So that's just a heads up if you're thinking of doing that backing up procedure. But again, also, honestly, if you have pictures, for God's sake, you should have your photos on your own devices and backed up. And the written stuff, like I've done some written stuff that I would like to keep. You should have also had that, and I'm going to start doing that now. Keeping it on your own devices and then just copying and pasting instead of doing it straight in the app. But that's it. That's all I've got. So are we done? Anything else anywhere?
No. Just one thing, maybe, in case you never know. I mean, I can only say, in case my blog disappears one day, then it was not that I deleted it. Then it was fucking Tumblr who did that.
Well, it's because we all petitioned to have you removed. But oh well.
Maybe that you will succeed if you just. So this is a community thing. Come together and kick Pete off Tumblr.
And kick Pete off.
Then
Yes, the community has spoken.
I will still be on YouTube, and so that you can always find me there, and I will be on Twitter.
There? Oh, okay.
I will be on Twitter. So I never post on Twitter, but my Twitter app is on my phone. So if you message me there, so that is vortex of our mind, because my Tumblr URL was not possible on Twitter. So whatever. So yeah, I think this was a big rant show, but I think it was necessary, and it was really, really cathartic. What I can say from my side, also in my post, we should probably, if everyone would have read my post, then we could have. So I basically only said what I wrote in the post. There will be a couple of very, very interesting changes also in the community, because PWS Fine Art News will probably not be there well, it definitely won't continue. The thing is, and I will make a post there, I will say it now, if in case you watch that and you are a fine art nude photographer and you found a different place where you post your photos, your own blog or a different platform, please send us a message. Send me a message personally, twoom.tumblr.com, twoom.tumblr.com. You can also email me, twoomphotography in one word at gmail.com. If you are a fine art nude photographer, artistic nude photographer, and you found a different place where you put your photos, send the link either on Tumblr via the Tumblr Messenger, or you can submit it to PWS Fine Art Nudes. That is PWS FINEART, so in one word, PWS Fine Art Nudes. And then we will post it. We will keep that blog on at least for a couple of months. And we will post. We did that as soon as Tumblr made the announcement. We posted, we reblogged all announcement of nude photographers, fine art nude photographers who said, I will go there, I will go there. You can find me there as well. So if you are one of those people, message us. We will put you on the blog. We will make and maybe then do a big master post where people are. Even if you're not on Tumblr, never were on Tumblr. If you're a fine art nude photographer, artistic nude photographer, send us a message. We'll link you. Definitely, we will do that, because I think Fine Art Nudes was meant to be a safe space for nude photography on Tumblr, which is now not possible anymore. So at least we can do that, and we will do that. And there will be a couple of other different things that will happen. Exciting things. There will also be something very, very exciting happening on this very YouTube channel. And I'm currently thinking about making this a YouTube quote unquote exclusive thing, so that I will not post that to my blog. But now I will post that to my blog, because of all the 7 people who watch my videos, 6.5 are from Tumblr. But maybe no, I will definitely post that to Tumblr. And so there will something happen. And now I think I talked this time. I talked like 90% of the time, and I will make up for that by letting Fern talk next time. So thank you for being here. Thank you guys. Thank you girls on the chat. It was a blast. And thank you for letting us rant. And thank you for ranting as well. And Fern, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Till next time. Stop the broadcast.